How's it going there, folks? Welcome back. We are recording out here, and it is a Monday. Just kidding. It's a Tuesday, about 12 o'clock here. Tuesday afternoon, May 21st, 2024, and a little bit of deja vu going on here. Just did a fairly extensive update here on the volcano activity across Italy, but, well, I forgot to hit the record button, but here we are, doing it again. Latest activity here on the globe shows a 1.4 Northern California, also 2.0 there into the oil fields of Texas. So, a lot of people asking about the volcano activity into the Naples, Italy area. The Campi Flegrei area seen an earthquake swarm here in the last couple weeks or so, and also last month. Seen quite a bit of dynamic earthquake activity out here. Did have a 4.4 stirring up out here yesterday. That's the largest magnitude so far in this series of earthquakes. The current rate here of ground deformation runs roughly between 2 cm a month to up to maybe 3 cm a month. Now, this is still very minimal compared to our, they call it a crisis. This is because it's, the wording in here is different. I think it's translated here to English. And they're using these words that sound a little odd. There's no seismic crisis going on right now. But there was a earthquake swarm back in 1982, 1984, where the ground lift there across the volcano area in Italy reached up to about 9 cm per month. So right now we're not even anywhere near close that, and there was about 1,300 seismic events per month. It was actually exceeded that amount per month. So, you know, we're not anywhere near that type of activity back in 1982 to 1984. There's, you know, obviously been quite a bit of earthquake activity out there around this volcano in the Italy area. Now, if you look here at the chart, this is a seismic chart going back to last year as well. This has been just an ongoing earthquake swarm of various multitude of quake activity. This one here that we've seen recently, yeah, it's going up here, but we've seen a similar one back in July and August of last year as well. This here is the displacement, obviously been on an increase here in the range. But overall, you know, things are, the word, I guess, is used restless. And I don't see anything that would tell me or lead me to believe that everything's getting ready to erupt out here. There'd be a lot more activity. There'd be a lot more larger earthquake activity, more displacement than what we're seeing right now. I think we'd see a lot more displacement. 2 to 3 centimeters a month is not that big of a deal, but obviously over time that can build up into a more eye-popping look, so to speak, in terms of chart activity. But we're really not seeing anything that would lead me to believe that this thing's about ready to erupt. The last eruption was back in 1538, quite explosive there. It did drop the temperature in the northern hemisphere about 3 to 4 degrees there for that year. So this can, eruptions of any volcano, large volcanoes, can have an effect on the climate. And, you know, in terms of a super volcano, the site of the caldera for the Campi Flegrei region is about 7 to 9 miles across. In comparison, the Yellowstone supervolcano, well, that's about 30 miles to about 45 miles across or so. So, yeah, Yellowstone much bigger. I think the area of concern obviously is a highly populated region here that the volcano area sits right next to. So a lot of people building houses right there on the volcano. Goodness. But no doubt, not a matter of if, but when this thing erupts, we'll see signs, a little bit further signs than what we're seeing right now. Obviously, it's at a yellow, a little bit of unrest going on, and we just got to watch it, monitor it. Earthquake activity here does show, you know, an increasing stair-stepping event here, and this could go either way. It could continue to go up, or it may go down. We'll just have to watch that. And the key to watching this is going to be larger scale earthquake activity. If we start to see quakes get bigger and then further inflation, then yes, then obviously things will could get worse from there. But right now, not seeing it. Still earthquake activity. The latest one shows a 1.4, and it does look like it's died down a little bit here in the last 12 hours or so, as far as earthquake activity goes. But we'll continue to watch it, continue to monitor the activity there. And there's various sites here in regards to the Campi Flegrei region there, just off the coast of Italy, where we're just watching this earthquake swarm. And some continued unrest there across that volcano. A lot of people asking about that. All right. Earthquake activity, deja vu. It's crazy. I just did an update, I don't know, about 25 minutes or so, and forgot to hit the record button. I don't know why. All right, earthquake activity here in the last 24 hours does show some broad-scale movement compared to a couple days ago. It was awfully quiet out here across many regions of the plates. Today, in the last 24 hours, look at that broad-scale movement all across the western Pacific, southern Pacific. A lot of activity stirring up and down the Peru-Chile Trench. That obviously is of concern because we are seeing a lot of deeper activity out here in this region of the South America area. Watch for some larger movement at the surface levels here following all this deep activity. South America, or the Southern Pacific here, seeing a 5.3 out in the fracture zone there. Activity like that can stir up further activity there across the region of the Tonga Trench, and even we'll have to see here. Here's these arrows separating, so we could see some further movement off across this area, maybe South America region. But we'll continue to keep an eye on the South America area for sure. A lot of activity stirring up around Solomon Islands, Papua New Guinea. Deep activity here from yesterday. It looks like it has triggered a swarm of quakes here across this plate boundary. The deeper activity, the general plate movement out here in the deeper areas of the Tonga Trench puts a lot of strain up here across this plate boundary. And that's exactly what we're seeing here overnight following that deep 4.6 there yesterday. That was a 600-kilometer deep earthquake that has added strain, and as you can see, quite a bit of earthquake movement there in a domino fashion across this area overnight and this morning. And still seeing quite a bit of activity up north around the Japan area and the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench. That area obviously needs some watching as well. This one coming in 136 kilometers deep for a 4.4 earthquake. The big island of Hawaii, things haven't advanced there yet in terms of earthquake activity, or volcanic activity. We've seen a handful of earthquakes up here underneath the big island here. 3.2, 23 kilometers deep, and one underneath the Mauna Loa area. 9 kilometers there for a 2.2. Not a whole lot going on here across this area of the Kilauea volcano for now, but it is something to watch because it's been at a status here for a little while in terms of unrest. These volcanoes can come and go depending on what's going on down below, right? Shifting of the plates, and the areas below can elevate any volcano out here, or it could slow it down. Latest update here was put out today, it looks like. As far as the volcano goes, the volcano is not erupting. But we're still seeing some earthquake activity. Although I've noticed it drop here in the last couple days. For now, earthquake activity rates appear to be slowing down, but that could change at any time, just as I mentioned. As far as deformation data goes there across that area, we had been going down here. Let's see here. This is the last 2 days. A little bit of up and down. Looks like we may be starting to go barely up a little bit. But these trends here, most of these trends that we've seen over the last month shows that there's a little period of stationary or deflationary event followed up by a much larger inflation event. So we could be coming out of that little stage right now where we'll see earthquake activity kick up and inflation rates go up. Of course, with any inflation rate, elevated inflation rate, we're always looking at the potential for an eruption. I mean, we're already at a high level in terms of peak inflation rates at the summit area. So just kind of watching it at a very sensitive time right now across that area. So we'll continue to keep an eye on the Big Island. California area, handful of smaller quakes out here. Really nothing big going on. The Southern California earthquake swarm has, for now, looks like it's halted. These swarms have come and gone in the past. One of these days, we could look back and say, look at all this swarming that took place prior to the big one. You just never know. The swarms, though, for now, look like they've died off. The southern branch of the San Andreas Fault continues to sleep. I still think with any elevated earthquake swarming around a plate boundary such as this, it's a good idea to watch. But for now, we're letting the San Andreas Fault continue to sleep. Bay Area fairly quiet. Earthquake activity around the hydrothermal plants there in the Clear Lake volcanic field. And one little lonesome quake up here across the Newberry volcano. Things pretty quiet up there, though, in terms of volcanic activity. A couple earthquakes off the Oregon coast here from last night around the Blanco fracture zone. What else we got out here? A couple earthquakes around the Yellowstone, outside of Yellowstone, that is. 2.6 in Montana. And there was another one out here across the eastern area of the park. Let me bring this back up here. Looks like another earthquake over here. Did show up across mostly the eastern side of the park here. I'm really not seeing it on the USGS map, but there was some type of seismic event there that, and it's not this one. This one was much earlier, 2.6, but something, a little bit of earthquake activity over here somewhere. Texas area, oil fields getting hit. A little bit of movement around the New Madrid seismic zone with a 2.0 from yesterday, and a handful of smaller quakes up into the northeast. The latest one, a 2.1 up in New York State, 7 kilometers deep. They do get some small earthquakes up here, nothing big for now. And look at all that activity into the South America region. Quite a bit of deep movement here underneath that area. So I think we need to watch this region. All this deep activity does tend to trigger larger events here eventually at the surface levels. All right, let's see what else we got for the Iceland activity. Where we got about 47 earthquakes here. South again, around the Grindavik area. This area has been seeing a lot of swarming going on here recently. And I don't think we... let me see if they put out a update as far as the Icelandic Met Office goes. We'll check this out real quick. They didn't put one out. Oh, there we go. Looks like they did put one out here today. Magma accumulation under the Svartsengi remains stable. Now, it looks like we're added another million cubic meters here. 17 million cubic meters of magma have been added to the magma chamber since March 16th, increasing the probability of a new magma flow and another eruption in the coming days. Now, they keep saying this, but you got to watch earthquake activity. Most likely area is going to be the crater region, the area of our most recent activity there, northeast of Hagafell, northeast of Grindavik as well. But we got to watch earthquake activity. That gives us a good indicator of where we may be seeing a magma intrusion event take place. Here's our latest magma event. Been getting quite high here. These are former magma accumulation rates followed up by an eruption, then the star. The time it took from peak magma inflation rates there. We're at 17 million, so we're almost at the highest level that we've seen across this region since back in November. So things are getting real, and they're stating the most likely area is going to be the crater area. But it's something to watch. Pay close attention to see if magma is on the move. Watching the earthquake activity is key to watching where the magma may be on the move at. So right now, yes, there's some earthquake activity down here across the Grindavik area, some in the crater area as well. We will know exactly where it's going to hit with a short time period, though, literally about 30 minutes or less. We'll see a huge increase in earthquake activity, followed up by an eruptive fissure event take place there at the surface. Unless we get some type of magma intrusion underneath the area and it doesn't break through the surface area. They call it a magma dike region. And that's possible as well. But there's so much magma accumulation underneath this area right now that it could go either way. We'll definitely have to watch it. All right, what else we got out here, folks? Goodness. I don't want to miss anything because I've like I said, I just did an update and forgot to hit record. There's that earthquake there in the Italy area, just off the coast there of Naples at the Campi Flegrei region. Most of the swarming has been confined to this area right here. It does look like things are slowing down in the last couple days in terms of the amount of earthquakes. But these earthquake swarms, obviously, they come and go, right? They do come and go. In the last 24 hours, the Volcano area has seen about 44 earthquakes of magnitudes up to 3.9, 38 quakes below 2. And it's roughly within that one area, confined to that area over here. But like any volcano, this activity could continue for a little while and die out, and then maybe next year we'll see another swarm. Who knows? Obviously, it's something to watch, and when we see elevated rates of inflation go up, larger earthquake activity, that would be the time to start panicking. But right now, I see nothing going on that would tell me that this thing is getting ready to blow. All right, space weather activity. Oh, goodness. Well, the sunspot 3664, which is way out there on the far side of the sun, roughly about center disk, far side of the sun, produced a massive full halo CME directed away from Earth. Remember, this is a full halo CME that we're seeing on the far side of the sun. And look at how huge this thing is. Had that been directly at Earth, we'd probably be looking at another decent aurora show. And that came from 3664. That is a far side sunspot now. Look at the far side of the sun. Let me bring up the most recent imagery here. And I guess this will have to work. Here's 3664. That was the culprit of all the X flares recently when it was facing Earth and all the CME activity. That brought us the beautiful aurora shows down even in Northern California, Southern California, and southward. That is still quite the dynamic sunspot. It's about halfway now around the far side of the sun. We'll see it in a week or so. If it remains active, then obviously that will be an area to watch. But also we have a region on the northern hemisphere of the far side of the sun. We'll be peaking around the eastern limb here soon. We'll get a better visual at it here in the next few days or so. That does look like a massive area as well. Again, this is the far side sunspot, eastern limb here of the visible disk. This is going to be the earth-facing side of the sun. And there's the far side where 3664 is. But for now, what we got, as far as what we have here facing the Earth, let's see here. Let's bring up this magnetogram image. And really not a lot. Little disappointed in this area down here because it looked fairly promising as it came around the eastern limb days ago. But it has since stabilized and looks like it's decaying completely. Really not a whole lot of hope for this area. A couple different regions out here and look like they're starting to increase a little bit, so we'll have to watch this area maybe for some flaring. But Here in the next few days or so, we'll watch the eastern limb, northeastern limb for that large sunspot area that's now on the, that's back on the far side. We'll see what that looks like. We'll get a better look at that in the days ahead. Overall threat, 99% chance for a C flare, M flare at 55, X flare around 10% chance or so. That's a little elevated, but I'm sure they will adjust that. Let's see. Yeah, no major roars in the forecast, but we'll see what happens as we get that big sunspot coming into view. Let's see what we got here for weather. I know we were looking at a decent chance for some severe weather out here today. Moderate risk. That's just one category shy of the highest risk here for the categorical outlook on the legend. Now we do have a decent 15% chance area, hatched area of tornado activity. Today is not the day to be. Today's not the day to ignore the weather outside. Keep your eye on the sky. If you see storms developing, hear storms developing, goodness, keep an eye on the radar because this is a potential big-time tornado threat today. Talking about Madison, Wisconsin, Des Moines, Cedar Rapids, the Davenport area as well. And you don't have to be within this red zone, the 15% chance red zone, to see some tornado activity. This is just going to be where the most likely dynamics are going to be to produce these large, long-track damaging tornadoes up to an EF5 within about 25 miles of a point. So even that 2% zone extends down into Oklahoma and portions of northern Texas. So be weather aware out here today. Along with the tornado threat, got some big-time straight-line wind events and some big-time hail. This is just a all-severe weather maker type of day here. So if you're out there, be prepared and make sure you have a plan. Thought I felt a little earthquake there, do I? Thought I felt a little bit of shaking, but maybe not. That's weird. All right, I have to check back on that. What else we got? Anything else going on here, folks? I'll try to keep an eye on the Campi Flegrei volcano there in Italy. I'm going to see if I can pull up a live seismograph station. We'll watch earthquake activity and see what happens there. I got to add it onto my network, so it'll take me a little bit to add the Italian stations there. But I'll get that up here, put it up on the live stream. We'll keep an eye on it. I do like to keep an eye on, any areas of interest in terms of whether it's volcanic or earthquake swarms. And right now, this area obviously seeing some earthquake activity, but it's really not an eye opener. It's not like, whoa, okay, let's do something about this. We're not to that point yet. Obviously, years of inflation going on there, but no cause for panic at the moment. Earthquake swarms come and go. This area has seen stronger swarms in the past and stronger uplift in the past as well. We'll continue to keep an eye on that, though. All right, folks, I'm out of here. Have yourself a good day. We'll catch you guys back out here a little bit later unless something major happens. Enjoy your Tuesday. Stay safe out there.